The following program is a paid presentation from the California Elder Law Center. The information and opinions expressed herein are solely those of the California Elder Law Center and are not the opinions of K-News, Alpha Media, management, or employees.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Elder Answers. This is the show where we get together every week and we discuss the major issues facing seniors in the United States today. Hi, everybody. This is Michael McGuire, elder law attorney with the California Elder Law Center. And for over 25 years, we have been a source of information and assistance for literally thousands of families throughout Southern California and even up into Northern California, trying to find a way to cope with some of the issues facing everybody if they have a senior in their life, whether it's their spouse, whether it's their father, their mother, a grandparent, a neighbor, a loved one, a family member. Whatever the relationship is, over and over again, we run into people that are confronted with, how do I take care of this person during a period of time in which they cannot take care of themselves? Is this something that is common? Is this something that everybody should anticipate? Or is it just a very rare situation that only a few people that you know or that I know or that we know really need to confront this issue? Well, how's this? About 7 out of 10 seniors, people over the age of 65, in the state of California are going to need some kind of long-term care during the course of their lives. That's probably the low side of the number, given the situation that exists in the United States today. Now, that situation is this, and it has nothing to do with the news this very day, but it has everything to do with the demographic trends that are going on in the United States, trends that will only become more and more intense as time goes forward. Where we sit right now in the United States is every year about 3.5 million people turn age 65. Now, what that means to you is that over the next 10 years, there's going to be about 35 to 36 million people are going to be at age 65 plus. Now, the way that translates to us is that of that amount, the 35 million people, 36 million people, you're looking somewhere between 25 and 28 million of those people are going to need some kind of long-term care during the course of their lives. Now, we know it's going to get worse than it is today for two specific reasons. The first reason is people live so much longer today. People live so much longer today. Now, one of the reasons that people live so much longer today is because they came to the age 65 with a certain self-awareness, a certain proclivity, a certain ability to avail themselves of medical assistance and care here in the United States if they were employed. Typically, those people were employed. And as a result, they enjoy the benefit of health insurance through their employers. Now, they've been long-term employees, most of them, at age 65 still, although that number is going down in terms of people who stay on the job long-term and have health insurance. So that means that all that time they were working, worker bees showing up at work every day, they had health insurance. That came through them primarily through their employer. When they turned 65, they went on to the Medicare system. They'd been paying a payroll tax every pay period since they were able to have their first job, going back, if depending upon their age, to January 1st of 1966. These people have been paying into that system. And as a direct result, that's how you pay for Medicare in this country. There's not a special tax on the side or in above or beyond what you have to pay more than your payroll deductions. That's where the money came from to provide 65-year-olds health insurance. Not just good health insurance, great health insurance. The kind of health insurance they need and deserve. The kind of health insurance they were promised way back in the 1930s, back into the 1940s, given their remarkable resilience in dealing with World War II. And after the war, they were promised this. But it took until 1965 for the promise to be fulfilled. And once it was, people started living longer. Every year, the life expectancy of Americans creeps up, but it's most pronounced among the elder group. And that means that people that are age 65 on up, people that, for instance, turn age 80 in the United States, men, have a life expectancy of just about 89 years of age. Women are over 90 years of age. Women live 7 years longer today than they did in 1965. Now, what that means is that the longer we live, the more complicated our situation becomes. Now, we've seen that this past year intensified in a way that we've never seen it before, a terrifying way. It took place in nursing homes all over the country, and the idea was that these people were already sick, they were already frail. Why wouldn't we expect that if they're 90 years of age? Does that mean that their lives are somehow, some way less valuable than maybe a halfback in the NFL or a shooting guard in the NBA or somebody who does commercials on television? We don't think so. So as the ravages of the pandemic tore through the country, as they tore through the country after we shut everything down, opened everything up, and it tore through the country even worse again, even as we stand knee-deep in the pandemic right now, we are realistically analyzing the situation that whether you have contributing factors or not, what difference does it make if you're frail and you're elderly and you're in a closed environment like a nursing home with the ventilation is dreadful, where the contamination of a particularly virulent contagious disease is easily transmitted from one person to another. All those factors lead up to the fact that how many tens of thousands of seniors have died from COVID. Well, the reality of this is, of course, is that we are facing these issues today, but what is up ahead of us? What is up ahead of us? Well, we need our Medicare to pay for our medical care because we could never in our wildest dreams generate individually enough money to pay for our health care. That's how expensive it is. You should also be aware of the fact that Medicare is probably going to spend about 80% of everything it spends on you on average during the last year of your life. 80%. And that's because of the intense care that you need and the level of care that you need from a hospital or to a rehab, whatever the situation is. Now, what would be the best way to approach this? Well, fortunately, the Medicare system and the Social Security system did not require you to make any kind of a decision. You didn't have to conscientiously pay a premium every month. You didn't have to make a decision about how much to put into the system and how much to, or even better, I won't do it this month, but I'll catch up next month kind of a thing. Thank God you didn't have to do that, and thank God everybody didn't have that opportunity. What took place was a mandatory system that said we're going to take money out of your paycheck. We are going to do the planning for you. We're not planning about whether or not you're going to take drug A or drug B. We're not planning whether you're going to go to this doctor or go to that doctor. We're not even planning which hospital you're going to go to. That's none of our business. What is our business is we are planning on how to pay the bill. That's what Medicare does. It pays the bill. Whether you go to the hospital down at the end of the block or you go to the hospital on the other side of town, that's a decision that you make. Whether you are part of an HMO or whether or not you take private insurance on your own and pay an extra premium, that's for you to decide. But what is not for you to decide is that it is mandatory for that hospital to take your Medicare benefits as payment in full. And so there are specific rules that go along with you, fortunately, being a Medicare recipient. Rules that determine the quality of your care, rules that determine how you're to be treated, how your family is supposed to be interacted as far as with information, access to your records, access to your benefit. There are rules, very specific rules that are designed to protect who? You. They're designed to protect you. They're designed to make sure that you get the quality of care you need and deserve, that you're not given the bum rush, that you're not put into an ambulance and sent home at 5 in the morning, that you're not shipped off to a psychiatric hospital at 2 o'clock in the morning and don't tell anybody, that you're not laying in bed with a shoulder that is shattered and broken in 5 places and you're being given Tylenol and you're told you need to go home. None of that is in the Medicare book. There's nothing in the Medicare book that says that when your father dies, you'll get a phone call 6 hours later from the morgue at the hospital telling you that he died. What do you want us to do with the body? There's no rule about that. In fact, they're supposed to have told you about that. If the person that's going in is a danger to themselves or to others, there's no rule that says they're supposed to just somehow, some way figure out a way to send you back. And so these kinds of psychiatric issues, these kinds of dementia issues and Alzheimer's issues, these different kinds of what's the best thing for the hospital? Oh, yeah, right. And here's the patient. That's not the way the rule book's written. The rule book is written for you. And as a direct result, we need to make sure that you're getting everything you're entitled to because you've been paying into that system for this particular benefit since you probably got your first job back in 1966. The reality that we're facing with healthcare in this country today has become sort of blow off the doors. Nobody knows for sure what they're doing or what's coming next. But there's one basic tenet in this whole system when it comes to a senior, is that there's a giant rule book that's designed to protect you at every stop along the way, whether you're in a hospital, whether you're in a rehab, whether you are in convalescent care, maybe you have been sent home, maybe you are in need of hospice care, maybe you're in need of psychiatric care. All those different kinds of issues are in the rule book. Whether you have your medical records, where you are given a quality care plan, whether you are being treated with dignity and safety, and that your family is being kept informed every step of the way of what's going on, that's all in the rule book.
Attorney Mick McGuire is now providing teleconferences. Find out more about how you can take part by visiting cal-elder-law.com. That's www.cal-elder-law.com. Or email Mick McGuire directly at info.calelderlaw@gmail.com.
As a result of the corona crisis, the California Elder Law Center must immediately cancel all free in-person workshops. However, you realize your need for information will not stop. The California Elder Law Center is making arrangements for alternative sources of information. We are beginning a series of teleconferences, videos, and complimentary forms to help you protect yourselves and your loved ones. Avoid the expenses and delays of probate. Access long-term care benefits through the VA and Medi-Cal, protecting your home and your assets. For full details and information, please call 760-422-0404. That's 422-0404. Or go to our website, www.cal-elder-law.com. That's www.cal-elder-law.com. Or send an email to info.calelderlaw@gmail.com. info@calelderlaw.com. So this is Michael McGuire with the California Elder Law Center. And what we're talking about today is the beginning a process to protect you so that you have some understanding of what the rules are, how you can protect yourself, because you probably don't know out of the thousands of pages in the Medicare manual which ones apply to you and how they protect you and how they protect your loved ones. And so you may need some help with that process to make sure if there's some benefit out there that can make a huge difference to you, not just economically, but quality of life issue, then you probably want to get on top of that. But it's a bad time to sit down when you're 80 years old reading through 1,100 pages of federal regulations to find out where you stand. And so the idea here is that if you think ahead a little bit about, you plan a little bit about this stuff, you'll end up with a much better outcome. We keep on finding people are coming in now because this has become so much more intense. It's become so much more terrifying because, frankly, they're getting treated so much worse by the institutions using the excuse of COVID-19 to sort of skirt the rules, that they're getting the bums rushed in the front door, out the back door before they even know they've gone out the back door. And that's not just unfair, that's dangerous. That's dangerous. The quality of your care is critical to you as an individual, to you as a family supporting somebody, to support your spouse of 50 years, whether it's your husband or your wife or your partner. It doesn't make any difference. If it's somebody you love who's suffering because they can't get the quality of care they need and deserve, and you don't have the wherewithal, you don't have the ability to sit down and wade through regulations and challenge this system, it's very frustrating. But you know intuitively it's lousy care. You know intuitively you're not getting treated right. You're getting the bum's rush, and people are saying things to you that's like, it's pretty condescending. It's talking down to you, or being very officious and really rushing you through the process. We had a heartbreaking situation we were made aware of that a man had died probably around 11:30 or maybe about 1 o'clock, somewhere in there, in the hospital, and nobody called the family. They didn't call anybody. Later that afternoon at 6 o'clock, the family got a phone call asking them, what do you want us to do with the body? The phone call didn't come from a doctor, didn't come from a nurse, didn't come from an official at the hospital. It came from an employee in the morgue. We got to know what to do with this body. That's a hell of a way to find out your father died, but your grandfather passed away. We've had people that have gone in to see their loved ones, and they're laying there dead on the bed under a sheet, literally under a sheet. We've had people told, you can't sit here anymore, you can only be here for an hour, and you have to leave. Well, he's dying. I want to be here. I want to hold his hand. I don't want him to be alone. I want to be with him when this takes place. You only get an hour. If you don't get an hour, we'll escort you out of the building. Why? Because that's the CDC's rules. That is not the CDC's rules. It is not the CDC's rules. The CDC says the exception to their rules is for a person who is transitioning. Transitioning, that's a person who's dying. You go to a rehab and they will tell you that Medicare won't pay for this anymore. And the reason Medicare won't pay for it anymore is because your husband, your wife, your grandmother, your uncle is not improving. You have to improve. This is rehab. And if you don't improve, Medicare stops paying. And you have to pay us, the facility, the $375, $385 a day, $10,000 a month for long-term care. You're not going to get any more physical therapy that you desperately need. All you're going to get is a bed and some squares, and somebody that hopefully has got a heart and is not going to kill you while you're laying there. That's not true. They know that's not true. If you are in a nursing home, in a rehab unit, and anybody from management comes up to you and says, Medicare will not pay anymore because your loved one is not improving, you need to call Medicare immediately. You need to stop the conversation immediately. That's a lie. They know that's not true. The rule with Medicare is you are allowed to stay at that level of care if it maintains your well-being. That's a totally different test. Can you get out of bed and walk over to the bathroom? Can you go to the bathroom by yourself? Can you feed yourself? Can you do those different kinds of activities? If you can't, you are entitled to a longer stay at that level of care. They will threaten you with financial ruin. The average cost of being in a nursing home for 1 month in California now is $10,298 a month. You heard that right, $10,000 a month. And they will tell you you're going to have to start writing the checks from day one. All of that is a lie. There's no other way to put it. If they know better, it's a lie. Lying to somebody who is a recipient of public benefits is absolutely illegal. Absolutely, unequivocally illegal. And they do it every day. Don't let them do it to you. Now, the best way to protect yourself in this system, whether you're going from the hospital to the rehab to convalescent care, the best way to protect yourself is to be prepared. Do this ahead of time. You don't buy a smoke alarm when you smell smoke. You don't get a fire extinguisher for the house when you see a flame. You do this safety stuff ahead of time so that you're prepared, so that you can take care of business when the time comes. That's the way you've lived your whole life. You didn't wait until you were 65 years old to say, maybe I should put something aside for my retirement. You didn't buy a house based upon the fact that, I don't know, I'm just walking around, maybe today's the day. That's not the way you lived your lives. You didn't educate your children that way. You didn't put clothes on their back that way. Didn't you have a budget of some kind about how much can I spend at the store? What am I looking at this month? And so all of these different kinds of issues that you have been successful with during the course of your lives have been based upon the fact that you put some thought into it ahead of time. You sat down, and I'm not saying that you had some big grandiose plan. I'm not saying that you were able to invest tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars in the stock market and avoid getting hit in the head once in a while. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that you had a generalized plan of what we are going to do. Now, if you've never been faced with long-term care, what do you know about long-term care? What do you think your kids know about long-term care? Because everybody who comes to our offices that wants a consultation that's trying to review this or try to do some planning, they all agree with, as does every focus group that's ever been done that I know about. Over and over again, they repeat it, and over again, they keep getting the same answers. What's the most important thing to people that are over the age of 65? They want to stay at home. They want to stay. They don't want to be institutionalized. You don't want to be in one of those places. There's not a soul that's in a nursing home in the United States that volunteered to go there. That's not how it worked. Those people have been consigned to that level of care because of need. And that's the only way they got in the first place. A doctor had to get them admitted. You don't just walk in there. It's not like it's a timeshare or something. They need care. And they have to be admitted. And there has to be a medical rationale for you to be in a nursing home and to have that level of care. And then there are very specific rules. Now, it's very expensive to pay for long-term care. That's a different conversation. Your conversation is that I have been a taxpayer. I have been involved in setting money aside out of every paycheck since I first went to work in this country. And now I'm hoping that those programs are going to be there for me. And then you discover bitterly, your children discover trying to help you, that there's all these roadblocks in the way. And that's why people want to come in and have a consultation with our office, to sit down with an attorney and be able to go over, what should I do? Should my documents say something different than what they do say? And the answer to that is, oh, yes. Oh, yes. Now, estate planning documents that many of you have, a trust, a will, a durable power of attorney, an advanced health care directive, they all contemplate something happening, and that something they contemplate is you dying. They contemplate you're dead. And they contemplate where's your stuff go? Well, that's important. But man, that ain't going to save your bacon in a nursing home. That's not going to save you from getting the bum's rush out of an ER in a hospital. None of that's going to save you. What you need is information inside your documents that tell the world, the person I've chosen, whether it's my wife, or my wife, it's her husband, me, or our adult children, they are the ones that are able to step in and have the authority to protect us, to make sure we're safe, to make sure we're going to get good, clean care with dignity. You can't expect that. You must demand that. And we hold the key in the elder law community to making sure that happens when the time comes. But just as important as that, and that's critically important, but just as important as that is the ability to start building relationships with you with other providers of different kinds of services in the world of senior living, in the world of care, in the world of people coming into your home, or you may be having to migrate into an assisted living facility, all those kinds of things. Those all lead up to a better outcome for you. Talking to them, meeting them, knowing who they are, what they do, it's so much better to do it when you're the one dictating the conversation, absorbing what's going on, than trusting it to somebody else. And there may not be any somebody else. I mean, your kids may be wonderful kids and they love you to pieces, but they don't live here. And in fact, there's a really good chance they don't live here. So now comes the point, how am I going to get that kind of care? How am I going to be protected? And who's going to do that job for me? That's all part and parcel of sitting down with an elder law attorney and coming up with a plan.
Attorney Mick McGuire is now providing teleconferences. Find out more about how you can take part by visiting cal-elder-law.com. That's www.cal-elder-law.com. Or email Mick McGuire directly at info.calelderlaw@gmail.com.
As a result of the corona crisis, the California Elder Law Center must immediately cancel all free in-person workshops. However, you realize your need for information will not stop. The California Elder Law Center is making arrangements for alternative sources of information. We are beginning a series of teleconferences, videos, and complimentary forms to help you protect yourselves and your loved ones. Avoid the expenses and delays of probate. Access long-term care benefits through the VA and Medi-Cal, protecting your home and your assets. For full details and information, please call 760-422-0404. That's 422-0404. Or go to our website, www.cal-elder-law.com. That's www.cal-elder-law.com. Or send an email to info.calelderlaw@gmail.com. info@calelderlaw.com. You're listening to Elder Answers. This is Michael McGuire with the California Elder Law Center. 25 years in the elder law field, and have been fortunate enough, lucky enough, to be part of the lives of thousands of families throughout Southern California, to be of assistance, to be able to help them. Not all of them became clients. Some of them just needed some information or needed a form, and we were able to accomplish that. It's a very satisfying way to practice law. Estate planning is critically important. We know it's important because we are there after our clients are gone. We are there to provide some level of solace often to the family. We are there to help sometimes mediate conflict. And we are there to explain the process of what happens legally when a person has passed away. And we're also sort of quite proud to have been part of mother and father's planning and to really recognize that they made an effort to make sure their children, their family, perhaps their grandchildren, perhaps the special needs of somebody in a family were addressed and they were protected and they were in good shape. And it was thoughtfully done and they were ready to go. That's a very, very gratifying thing to be able to do. And that's what elder law attorneys do in addition to the estate planning. They take it one step further. They address a different issue. Estate planning attorneys, they address the issue of what happens when I die. How do I protect my family? How do I help them avoid taxes? How do I help them avoid the costs, the delays of probate? How do I make sure they're protected through a distribution plan that matches up with my desires and their needs? And then the elder law attorneys add on to that the elegance of saying, what happens if I live? What happens if I become incapacitated, if I can't handle things on my own anymore? I'm too frail. What happens if I've lost my cognitive skills? I may be physically vibrant. I may have many years of life ahead of me, but I have lost my cognitive skills through the ravages of dementia or Lewy body disease or Parkinson's disease or frontal temporal disease, Alzheimer's disease. What do I do in that set of circumstances? Because I'm going to be solely dependent upon other people to protect me. And that's when you start to realize it really does take a variety of skill sets to make sure a senior is safe, especially if they are physically removed from their family, as so many people are here in the Coachella Valley. What do we do about that? How do we address that issue? We start the planning process. We start the ball rolling. We expose our clients to resources. There are people who handle the process of placement. They're able to place a person when the time comes, when they have needs, and when they may have made a decision themselves about what they want, whether it's independent living or an assisted living, or it's in a board and care facility, or maybe a memory care facility. So all those kinds of issues are available if you are dealing with a reputable individual who understands the needs of their client and matches it to the profile that the facility is looking for. And you get a good match, you'll get a great outcome. That takes skill, it takes experience, and it takes a depth of knowledge of the market of what these different facilities offer, because they're different. They are different. What are the other issues that will come up? If I'm staying at home because I desperately want to be at home, how do I prepare meals? How do I get to the store? How do I get to the doctor? How do I know my father, my mother, my loved one is being properly cared for when I'm not there? How do I do all that? Well, I may have the need of an individual who will supervise their care. Now, we have geriatric care management people. We have, my preference is a nurse practitioner, because she's able to create a safe haven for you in your home. At the same time, she has the expertise to understand what's going on with you physically, both either before or after you've been in the hospital. And man, you don't know how important that can be. And if you have that person in your life, what you now have is a resource that'll be there. Now, so many people say, well, I don't need it today. I don't have the need today. And see, your problem is you don't know what day you're going to need it. You should make the assumption you're going to need it someday. You should make the assumption this is money well spent, maybe now, to have some level of a relationship with somebody who's going to be there for you when you need it. And frankly, this is a way that you can have a much better quality of care in your home, perhaps, as opposed to spending $10,000 a month to be in an institutional environment that you don't want to be in anyway. And so your ability to reach out, get this stuff done ahead of time, meet the people, talk to them, see what the skill sets are, is going to do two things. First of all, it's going to chase the horrible cloud of anxiety hanging over you, because you'll have information. You will have information. These aren't people that are trying to give you a sales pitch. These are people who are trying to save your life. They're trying to put you in a position where you're going to have an outcome that it's safe, that your absentee children can have somebody to talk to be their eyes and ears to protect you. I speak from some level of experience about this stuff, because this is probably a classic example of what my family went through. My mother fell down and hurt herself and was taken to the hospital on Christmas Eve. I got a phone call from the hospital back in Pittsburgh asking me, do you want her to be resuscitated? And I said, well, what are you talking about? I thought she fell down and hurt her hip. I said, well, yeah, she did, but we need to know if you want her to be. I said, well, she didn't fall off of a building, for God's sake. She hurt her hip. Okay, fine. Yeah, no, resuscitate her. Yes, please do that. So I immediately called a colleague of mine who was an elder law attorney in Pittsburgh that I knew from being in the National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys. We met over the years at the conferences. And when we were at this conference, he had told me that his sister Nancy was a geriatric nurse and had been trained in that field to the level of having a graduate degree. And as a direct result of that relationship, I called him at home on Christmas Eve, 3-hour difference, because I was in Long Beach, my sister was in Phoenix, and my mother was in Pittsburgh. I got a hold of her. She said, listen, I can't come and do anything tonight for your mother, but there's really nothing for me to do. I have my family coming over for dinner tonight on Christmas Eve, but I will, in fact, go over there tomorrow morning, Christmas Day. Now, this was compounded by the fact that I was supposed to get on an airplane that night and fly off to Costa Rica for a vacation. So I'm in a quandary. Should I cancel? What should I do? She said, yeah, go. They have telephones in Costa Rica. I'll get a hold of you. I'll fill you in. Let me see what's going on. And she did. I got a phone call in Costa Rica. And what we found out is that she was okay. Everything had calmed down, but it was unlikely she was going to go home. She was going to move and spend a little bit of time in a rehab. And then rather than go home, it was time to move on to an assisted living. And so from that point forward, we were able to coordinate her care effectively. We had it in control because we had our person on the ground with her telling us, this is the facility you want to go to, not that one that they recommended, but this one, this is the one that you're going to like. And they were so right about that. And so my sister had time to gather herself and get back there, and I eventually got back there. And what ended up happening is Nancy, the geriatric nurse, became our eyes and ears on the ground. She would go visit with my mother. She would talk to her. She would have lunch with her, and she got to know her. And as a result of that regular interaction, we had somebody who was filling us in on a regular basis about what exactly was going on. If something changed, I'll let you know. She's okay. Well, first of all, they got rid of the anxiety in our part. I mean, we went back to visit her as often as we could, but we couldn't do it every week, for crying out loud. And so what ended up happening is that over time, Nancy called and said, you know what? Your mother's going to need a higher level of care. She's suffering from dementia, and that's taking a toll on her, and she needs that level of care that's extra and protective for her. And that's exactly what ended up happening. She was there for 4 years, and then she came out to California, spent the last year of her life at a beautiful, beautiful board and care 2 blocks from the beach in Huntington Beach. Now, during that period of time, based upon our office and the experience and the expertise we had developed, we were getting money from the Veterans Administration to help pay for her care. My father was in the Army Air Corps during World War II. As a direct result of his military service, she was able to access, I believe at that time it was about $1,200 a month, tax-free, to help pay for her care in an assisted living. Now, $1,200 a month certainly didn't pay the bill, but between $1,200 from the VA and $1,800 a month from Social Security and other access to investments that she had, she was able to live in a very high-quality, lovely home and still have the ability to retain Nancy to keep an eye on her. That's what it gets to when you're talking about planning. Having something in place, a name, a phone number, let's go now. When her issue arose 4 years later, we weren't guessing, we were prepared. Nancy was preparing us for the preceding 6 months, and then she eventually made the call. And when she made the call, we knew that she knew what she was talking about, and yes, she was right on the money. And yes, we were able to react to that process to protect her, my mother, and keep her safe and keep her in the right level of care. And her VA benefits followed right along. That's what you call planning. And the reason it's so important is that planning is based upon information, and information diminishes anxiety. It drives it from your life. You're no longer full of anxiety, you're full of information. It doesn't mean the information is exactly what you want to hear, but it does mean that you're going to be cared for because you have the information to create a plan that's safe, it works, and means that you and your family are doing right by your senior in your life.
Attorney Mick McGuire is now providing teleconferences. Find out more about how you can take part by visiting cal-elder-law.com. That's www.cal-elder-law.com. Or email Mick McGuire directly at info.calelderlaw@gmail.com.
As a result of the corona crisis, the California Elder Law Center must immediately cancel all free in-person workshops. However, you realize your need for information will not stop. The California Elder Law Center is making arrangements for alternative sources of information. We are beginning a series of teleconferences, videos, and complimentary forms to help you protect yourselves and your loved ones. Avoid the expenses and delays of probate. Access long-term care benefits through the VA and Medi-Cal, protecting your home and your assets. For full details and information, please call 760-422-0404. That's 422-0404. Or go to our website, www.cal-elder-law.com. That's www.cal-elder-law.com. Or send an email to info@calelderlaw@gmail.com. info@calelderlaw.com. This is Michael McGuire with the California Elder Law Center, elder law attorney, a member of the National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys, and have been for 20-some years. I'm quite proud of having served a term as the president of the Southern California chapter. And I'm very much interested in sharing the information because this group of elder law attorneys, the National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys, makes it a point to share among each other a lot, everything. They don't hold back. It's a wonderful organization. And it's a way for you to know if you're really talking to somebody who's actually in the field of elder law, not just talking about it, not just calling themselves an elder law attorney. In any event, I want to talk to you a little bit about how the process works. Now, for years and years, what we have done is we start off here on the radio show, and it gives us an opportunity to meet you, to interact with you, to give you information, a lot of information, and we've been doing it for years. It works great. You like it. I like it. It gives us an opportunity to develop a relationship so that you can get to the point where you have some faith and understanding about what the process is and how to protect yourself. What follows up on that is we have always conducted workshops. We used to have workshops twice a month, 10 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. We can't do that anymore. That used to be the best part of my job, was an opportunity to meet you, shake your hand, share a few jokes, and give you a boatload of information. And that's exactly what we did in a format that you enjoyed and liked, and I did too. That's over with. We can't do that. Maybe someday, but not this day. So that changes our calculus, doesn't it? So for those of you that do want to get information and you do want to interact with us, now we have to do it a different way. The different way to do it now is going to be a couple of different ways. The main way to do it is with a consultation. This is still the way people want to do it. They tell me this is what they want to do, and this is what they are doing. They want to fill out an intake form and send it to us ahead of time so we have a chance to get ready for your consultation. You'll sit across the conference table from the attorney. Now, what will be between you and the attorney is going to be a plastic shield to protect you and the attorney. We're both going to be wearing face guards or masks, whichever you prefer. We have an air purifier in the room running at all times. We have completely sanitized the conference table and the chair that you're sitting in, both before your consultation and after your consultation. We are meticulous as far as protecting you as much as we can and protecting ourselves and our staff. Everybody here is wearing a mask. You can come in, bring your documents, we can go through this, and we can get to the bottom of what's going on and what you want to accomplish. That has to be face-to-face. Now, some of you would much rather do it because of your technical skills on a Zoom conference call. That's perfectly okay. That's perfectly okay with us. And some of you like the idea, even if you do come in for your face-to-face, that you want to have a Zoom conference call maybe later on with your kids, your adult children. They may not live here, or they may be busy, or they may need to catch up when they can. And so they're in Orange County, or they're in Seattle or Chicago. We can do that. We can do that. And so there are ways we can make this work for both of us. And it gives you an opportunity to get information, make a decision what you want to do. Your decision could be no decision. That's up to you. But what you're lacking is information. You don't know how to access your long-term care benefits underneath Medi-Cal if you go into a nursing home. That's worth $10,000 a month. If you were a veteran, you served in World War II, Korea, Vietnam, or the Gulf, you're entitled to $2,200 a month tax-free to help pay for your care at home, or in assisted living, or a board and care, or a memory care unit. Now, this may be information that your kids need in order to take care of you. And I would tell you, unfortunately, 80% of the time, it's not you taking care of business. It's your adult kids sitting in here wringing their hands about, I wish he had taken care of this. I wish he had addressed this issue. And then we are trying to create some kind of a safety net, a cocoon, by giving you resources as far as taking care of you. Mostly we start at home, we focus on at home, but that may not be in the cards. You may already be at the hospital. When's the best time to do your planning, do you think? In the ambulance? In the ER? At home? Trust me, way ahead of time. Why do you want to live with the anxiety? How do you deal with this? You pick up the phone, you call 760-422-0404. 422-0404. We'll do everything possible to get back to you as quickly as we can. If we're busy and we can't take your phone call, but we will answer your phone call. And what will end up happening is that you can get on the road to a solution rather than living with the anxiety of not knowing how this is all going to turn out. You can assure yourself of quality care, but you're going to have to do something. So the people who do call 422-0404, and I tell you, the people that really like this, I used to, in our workshops, we used to always get people came down from Yucca Valley and came down from Joshua Tree and 29 Palms, always. The people who live in Banning and Beaumont, they would just as soon skip the drive and get the information. And now they don't have to really be put out. They can just come in, sit down in the den, turn on the computer, and they can have their consultation. But what we do need you to do, and we expect you to do, is to fill out the information for us on a short intake form that gives us a fleshing out of the story and the right church, wrong pew avoidance when we're talking to you. We want to get right to it and make our time together as valuable as possible. We'll give you that consultation. If you make that consultation, we expect you to honor that consultation. And all you have to do is call 422-0404. We'll send you out the form, fill out the form, send it back to us. If you're capable of doing it, you can scan it and send it right back on the computer, and then we'll set this up for you. But let me tell you, you need to do this so that at the very least we have some kind of an idea of what your documents do say and what your documents do not say. Or if you have no documents, you need documents. Now, this is not a sales pitch. This is a piece of very valuable information for you. Having a durable power of attorney that works in the field of not just estate planning, but also elder law is critical for you. It's critical for your family to be functional. to get you the kind of outcome you really want. It's absolutely critical. The trust itself has to have language in it that protects you and your family and allows them to protect your resources so they can access public benefits and not be excluded because you have too much money or too much income. We can fix all that, but we have to have the empowerment when you can't do it. We have the ability to counsel you and give you resources as far as how you can build a safety net around yourself and your loved one, your husband, your wife, your partner, so that the two of you are safe, that you do now have the answer of not just how am I going to pay for my care, I have the answer for who's going to take care of me. More and more people of all different levels of resources and income want that information. They want that solution, and we can give it to you. It's information. But you have to pick up the phone and call 422-0404. The conference room is safe as we can make it. You have a completely sanitized environment in which to sit down comfortably and have a conversation, that you're protected behind a plexiglass shield. You can have your face mask on. We have face shields available for you if you don't have one. We have an air purifier in the room, and we've sanitized the tables and the chairs. And by doing it that way, I think you're going to find you have a level of comfort, at least we do, because we know what we've done in the room. We know it's clean. And you will have the ability to address these issues and put this stuff to bed. 422-0404. Come in for the consultation. Let's find out if there's something that needs to be done, what that something is, so that you're protected. You may be changing your trust that already exists. You may be creating a trust from scratch. Most of the people coming to us, we are amending and restating their trust, to tell you the truth. They already have a trust. It may not be much of a trust, or it's a very old trust, and there's stuff in there that they just don't want anyway. It's good to get it out as opposed to stuff that's in. But the reality is, having somebody on your side to counsel you and give you information, I find is invaluable for the families that we have been able to help over the years. It gives you the opportunity to understand what the parameters of the issue are and how you can address it to your own advantage. How you can access over $120,000 a year in long-term care benefits tax-free. How you can come up with $26,000 a year for care in your home if you're a veteran, tax-free. How you can come up with $14,000 to $15,000 a year for your spouse to be cared for through the Veterans Administration, tax-free. This is not a pipe dream. This is just information. And I hope each and every one of you is going to avail yourselves of the fact that you can do this, that you can either come in for a consultation or we will do it over Zoom for you so that you can participate in having a plan in place that'll address and protect you for the rest of your life. This is Michael McGuire, elder law attorney with the California Elder Law Center, saying thank you very much for joining us today and every week, and we very much look forward to talking to you personally here on Elder Answers next week.
The preceding program was a paid presentation from the California Elder Law Center. The information and opinions expressed herein are solely those of the California Elder Law Center and not the opinions of K-News, Alpha Media, management, or employees.